Welcome to the latest edition of All's Caps with former Capitals defenseman Karl Alzner. I'm AP hockey writer Steve Whyno. Today we are joined by former Capitals forward Jason Chimera. We're going to talk everything from what he's doing right now, some Oilers talk, a Mountain Dew Braden Holtby story that I think everyone's going to enjoy, and of course Karl's stupid questions. Jason, thank you for joining us.
Thanks for having me, guys. This is awesome. Good to connect with you guys for sure.
I just got to start by saying that Chimmer is one of my favorite people I've ever met in hockey. It's like we talk sometimes about what TJ Oshie brings to the team and his energy and stuff. Like Chimmer was one of the guys that we had when he was playing with us. So I'm so fired up that you were able to make some time for us here and talk. And we'll keep it PG. You're allowed to say what you want on here. Yeah. We can edit you. we sometimes need to walk behind you with the whiteout. Some of the things going on, but just have a good time here. I'm just happy that you came on, buddy.
Yeah, this is awesome. Osh tried to steal my thunder too, and he came to the team and he's all this energy guy. I'm that guy. What the hell are you trying to steal my job?
you are the original energy guy, that's for sure. You and Hendy, when you and Hendy get going before a game, it was like,
it's funny. Yeah,
some of the stuff with Wagon. Yeah, he's the original Wagon, that's for sure. Before we kind of get into some of like what you're up to now, I just need to go over this because like your career, man, it's like the career that I would have liked to have had. And we talked about this, getting to 1,000 games besides winning the cup, it's the milestone for most players, right? Being able to play that long. It's like when you talk about a player, it's like, oh man, he played 1,000 games, 18 years in 1,000 games. I'm like, that's you. Like, you had that career. That's something to be super, super proud of. And I know, because I'm feeling it now, when you're out of the game, you kind of look back and you think, like, you try and measure up how your career went. But yeah, 18 years, what was it, with five teams total, 186 goals, 229 assists for 415 points. Like, dude, unbelievable career. I don't know if you've really thought about it, but I'm thinking about how impressive that is now in your longevity. It's just awesome. I'm just curious, looking back on it, like how do you feel about it all now?
Well, as you know, it goes by so fast, and you're looking back at a lot of things and kind of what you did good and what you did bad. But the number one question you always still get, no matter how many games you played, is, did you win a Stanley Cup? Right. So that's the number one question people, do you win a Stanley Cup? And I know me and you and some guys had the cup pity text string there when they won it. So we're all like, Jesus, what the hell, this is not going to happen, is it? But then you're so proud for the guys that won it when you've been there for 8 years or something, and you felt like you had a small piece of it. And even though you didn't get a ring or get acknowledgement from it, you felt like you had a small piece of it for sure. But yeah, it's something to be proud of for sure. It's 1,100 games, and you look back, hockey's given me everything I have in my life, and I'm pretty grateful for my career. And I think you're a lot more grateful for now than you ever have been, because you just kind of look back at all those cool moments, and you kind of take your kids to the game, and it's not the same when you're sitting in the stands watching the guys. You're just like, holy smoke. And it was a pretty cool story when I first took my son to the game and look over, and he was crying during a national anthem, and he goes, I just missed this for you. I'm like, holy smokes. It was like, it was pretty, so they got to live a pretty cool life, like Kale and Ryan, and just kind of drag them around places, Washington, DC and New York, and it was in Columbus. It was pretty cool thing. And it was like, I mean, you're chasing a puck around for a living. I did nothing special, just kind of dumped it in and chased it for 1,100 games, and made a living and chasing a puck now. So it was it's pretty cool thing for sure.
Whyno, I think one of the cool things now that this year, because they've talked about, who's it, like Zegras is going to be in there for the breakaway competition, Barzell for fastest skater. This was one of the things that always irked me. I wanted the Chim Dog in there for the fastest skater every year, because I swear you were taking that home. That speed. We
refer to him as the ice cheetah.
Yes, yeah. You were the ice cheetah, exactly. Like we had this play on a D-zone face-off that we would do, where we would win it, and Chimmer's job was to just skate like the wind to the red line, and the D-man was supposed to get the puck and rim it around, and he was going to meet it at that red line. And if he was in front of the defenseman, he was going to try and take it in and make a play. If not, we were just at least going to try and get the puck in. And I can't tell you how many times where the face-off would happen and Chimmer's like, you need to shoot it harder. Like, I'm there, shoot the puck harder. I'm like, I couldn't even shoot it hard enough to catch up with how fast he was skating. It was one of those things that's just, it was so much fun to watch. But okay, so now fill us in on what you're up to now. We've talked a couple times about some of your cross country skiing and all that
Yeah,
going on. Like,
yeah.
what are you filling some time with here back in Edmonton?
I will kind of chasing the kids around. My wife's a nurse, so she's busy during this COVID time. So it's she's in the hospital, so she's doing a lot of work and kind of just I do some learn to play stuff with Oilers there on the weekend, just kind of for people who can't afford a game or just kind of at a grassroots level, and it's pretty fun because it's just there's no expectations. It's just kids having fun and loving the game and teach them how to skate, teach them how to shoot and stuff like that. So that's pretty rewarding. And other than that, just coaching both my kids' teams, helping my son's team and head coaching my daughter's team, which is pretty rewarding as it is. And yeah, just that's basic stuff. And just kind of I got a dog to fill my time, so I wouldn't cry all the time with my retirement. So
Do you walk the dog, or does the dog walk you? I feel like the dog would try to keep up with you all the time.
Oh, it's good. We walk each other. He's a higher energy guy, so like me, so we like it.
That's amazing. And you're watching some hockey too?
Yeah, no, I would keep up with it every time. I'm not one of the guys who I used to watch when I played, and I watch now. I enjoy watching games, and still a lot of my friends play, so it's kind of nice watching them when they come through town. And I got to see you guys a couple of times when you guys came through, and just stuff I try to catch up. I know COVID, you can't really get down there now times down in the dressing room, but it was nice when you could see those guys come through and see your friends and bring Kale down the room and see Wilson and Backstrom and those guys again. It's pretty cool to do that. So but yeah, no, I like watching and try and keep up with the game for sure.
I love asking everybody who comes on the favorite Karl Alzner story. Is there a PG Alzner story you have?
No, there is no story.
Well, Alzner, you're always looking for a swear word with Alzner. He would never swear. You're like truck blue whale, and you're like, oh frick. You're always looking for Alzner just yelling F-bomb or something. You're always like, he's such a nice guy, and there's nothing, like I said, you always remember really good people, and Alzner is one of those good people, but you're always looking for him to get mad and get and say a swear word or something. You can always come off the bench, you're like, shoot. You're like, no swear. But
Yeah.
it was
Me and Fairzy try not to.
too. Yeah, try to swear, and it was like yeah, both those, and you mentioned Fairzy too, another beauty. You guys are, do you remember playing with for the rest of your life for sure.
Karl, I remember, I forget whether you asked George this or Raby this about like the dumbest question you've ever been asked, or kind of like asking yourself a dumb question. I remember you were once asked how to help the power play, and rather than get mad, you said, stay as far away from it as possible. That's one of my favorite moments of you getting asked a ridiculous question and like handling it perfectly.
Well, it's funny. It's something like, as me and you, I know, but as media, sometimes you're emotional, you get caught up in some stuff, and you get it. But it's sometimes you try to approach some things with humor and
Yeah,
try to get original spin on it. And sometimes probably I wasn't the easiest guy to deal with too after games, or being sat out, or trying to answer tough questions. So sometimes you try to put like a comedic relief kind of thing on some of the things for sure.
Speaking of this and the media run-ins, we chatted briefly about it before we started here. You're in Edmonton, you see everything that's going on. We've talked about it on here before a couple weeks ago with Ben Raby. Give us your thoughts on the Draisaitl and the pissy t-shirts that are going around now. It's turned into something. It's ended up turning into something
funny.
kind of fun. Yeah. So just like the Hurricanes and the whatever they are, the bad guys, or
a bunch of
like
jerks. Yeah,
a bunch of jerks.
The spin-off on the spin-offs on the Why You So Pissy are pretty funny. Though some of the ones they put faces on Why You So Pissy, but I mean that was they're losing. I think they lost 8 games in a row, and as you know, Whyno trying to ask the players questions. You're gonna sometimes get an emotional response, and I think that's been building for a while, and
sure.
I think it's one of those things that just it happens, and I think probably Draisaitl is probably getting sick of asking the same questions, and probably the media is getting sick of answering or asking the questions. So you're trying to, and I think it just kind of came to a head in that little spot, and I think maybe both guys could handle it better. I think it was, what it is. So I think Matty but Maddie threw me under the bus one time in the media too. I'll tell you a story because
Yes,
Maddie,
please.
background on Maddie, and I'm not afraid to do it because I was looking for a job, and it was a Perry Pern 3-on-3. He was in the dressing room, and we were just talking off the record, off the record, of course. Yeah. So he said, "What do you got going on?" I said, "Well, I got nothing really going on right now. Just trying to look and trying to keep in shape and get. I want to play this year." And then like 2 hours later, he tweeted, "Oh, looks like Jason Chimera is leaning towards retirement." And not that it means anything, but like you just don't, like, if you want people's trust, if the media wants people's trust, you don't throw that stuff in the media, and you don't do that to players. If you want to ask those questions and you don't want to get those questions in return, or you don't want to get those answers in return, for sure. And I think I think he was out of line doing that. I think, I mean, I don't know the backstory behind those guys, but maybe something like that happened too. So
Yeah, it does sound like for a while that the relationship between Oilers guys and the media there and PR is trying to like figure it out too, because it's been rough for a little bit. And that was even when I guess they were losing in the first round of the playoffs and not making the playoffs. So it's been a rough go there. So like tensions build up as like as the losing builds up. And as Karl and I have talked about on this a few times, the Zoom press conferencing does not make it any better,
yeah.
because you can't have a quiet conversation and have an argument and get over it without it becoming a public spectacle.
Well, I know you said before, I'm going to ask this. Is this okay? And like people like media actually asked it before you ask the questions. Hey, I'm going to ask this. Is this okay? And
Sure.
the guy's like, please don't ask me that. Like right now, I don't want to answer. So you don't ask that. And so that's just the trust. I think without being in the room, you can't say that kind of stuff to the players. You can't like have that relationship
It's harder,
with players.
right?
Like,
Yeah.
right. Yeah. That kind of that stuff that goes on before that interviews that people don't see, which media, a lot of the guys who do that stuff are respected, that ask, hey, I got to ask this question. I'm sorry to ask this. You're like, hey, no problem. I know you got to ask it. So and that's what it is. You kind of downplay the situation right before it happens. So I think that's tough in a world we live in now with COVID. You said the Zoom meetings and all that stuff. And as far as like in Edmonton, that's all that's going on up here with the Oilers, and it's everything. I think people would say, I remember being in Washington and me and my wife were out for dinner. People were talking about politics and who's running for president and what's going on with the Congress, and you go to Edmonton, and for what it's worth, it's all Oilers. Everyone's talking about Oilers, how bad they're doing, how good they're doing, how bad the coach is, how bad this player is, how bad this player is. So, and I think it's kind of everyone's on emotional highs, emotional lows, and tensions run high sometimes in the city for sure. I expect a lot of the Oilers, and when they don't play well, everyone wants answers, and media got to ask those questions, and players got to. But like you said, with that Zoom thing, it doesn't help anybody. I think you good media people and good people ask those questions, but they preference before say, hey, listen, I'm going to ask this, and it kind of downplays it for sure. Like I said.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, Karl, that's got to be a lot like Montreal too, right, Karl? Where like it's so all-encompassing.
Yeah, Montreal's probably worse. I mean, right?
Well, yeah, because you don't understand what they're writing half the time.
Yeah,
I can't read it.
Well, and then what you went through there, I think it was the worst. I think you deserve a lot better, and you're the one of the best defensemen I play with. Like I'm not gonna say you did anything flashy, but you were probably the best first pass guy. You shut down guy. You took your role well. And you did it for a lot of years, and all of a sudden you come to Montreal and people talk, but one person says on media, maybe you can't play, and then people go with it, and then it's like, and then you're like, oh, all of a sudden guy can't play. Well, it's bullshit. Like it's just such, and it ruins people's careers and ruins like Karl. Like you got sent down to the minors for no freaking reason, and I was pissed. I was like, what? I remember texting you. I was like, what the hell is going on here? And I was just like, I felt for you in that situation. Then that's how it plays a role in things, and people don't understand. Like it's such a fickle game, and one thing said about somebody can take on a life of its own and become this huge thing, and when you're still the freaking same player.
Yeah,
like, it's crazy.
Yeah, that's we said this, Whyno. I think I said it when we talked to Ben about we all have a job to do, and we don't need to ruin anybody's career by trying to put something out there, and I understand that everyone has their opinions and this and that, but if I keep harping on you all the time, then people are going to think, oh, you're a bad writer. I said this exact same thing, Chimera. If you keep saying, yeah, Whyno's a bad writer, then everyone's going to think he's a bad writer. If he
Yeah.
says I'm a bad player, everyone's going to think I'm a bad player.
Yeah.
And next thing you know,
Oh,
both
yeah.
of our careers are
Yeah.
maybe going downhill. So maybe he's got to be careful. And then the other thing too is that it's such a race to get something out because we can get that information out so fast now versus like it happens to me all the time where I'm just like I'm going to send this person this email right now because I'm pissed. Like, where's my couch? It still hasn't been delivered. But if I just take a day because my print isn't going to come out until tomorrow or whatever,
Yeah.
or I'm not going to see this person for a day, like take a second to think about it, and then it's like, it's not that big of a deal. I'm just going to let this slide, right?
Well, no, in the world we live in now too, that social media and stuff goes like like you push on this damn thing, and it's like you get this, like with COVID, you could believe what you want to believe, but you push this button, you push the left button, you're gonna get left views. You push the right button, you get right views. So it's the same with hockey. You could say bad things about Karl Alzner, and all bad things come up. So it's
Yeah.
I mean, you can believe what you want to believe, and like you say, Whyno's a bad writer. Whyno's a bad writer. Well, then if enough people look at Whyno's a bad writer, of course he's a bad writer. I mean, it's just a weird world, and I think for the kids, it's such a hard world growing up in, trying to navigate those waters. I don't know. It's just it's a different world than what we grew up in. And it's kind of crazy.
I've always said that you're any one tweet I could tweet right now and get fired from my job. Anything I could say right now, I could get fired. We're gonna take a break on All's Caps, come back and tell some fun old Capital stories with Jason Chimera. Karl, do you remember the time? And I'm not gonna out you as a source on this. Do you remember there was a game where I think Orlov got slew-footed by somebody? I think it was Jeff Skinner, and like you quietly were like wanted to like tell us it was a slew foot, but we couldn't name you. Do you remember this?
No, I don't remember, but I'm not surprised I did something like that.
it was like a good thing. You were like trying to tell us like, no, that like we're fucking pissed, but we don't. You didn't want to like actually be quoted on the record, so we're just like gathering us and being like, no, by the way, watch this again. Jeff Skinner slew-footed the hell out of him. Yeah. And then we were able to write it, which there's one of those kind of behind the curtain things that you couldn't do right now.
Right. Well, I mean, that stuff happens so much too. Like now we got PK Sluban. Like those guys hit like that all the time.
I know.
And they slew foot guys. It's whether or not they get caught doing it. So
PK Sluban, that's fantastic.
Yeah.
All right, you guys ready?
Yeah.
All right. Welcome back to All's Caps with former Capitals defenseman Karl Alzner. I'm AP hockey writer Steve Whyno, joined by former Capitals forward Jason Chimera. And I only got prepped with a story about Braden Holtby and Mountain Dew and coffee and chocolate bar donuts. Can you guys fill me in on this story?
Well, I mean, Chimera, I don't know. I mean, I would assume you remember it the way I do, but it was one of the funnier things because, I mean, you like we said, you had so much energy in the room, and I think you and Holtz kind of went at it every now and then, like in a good way. You guys are both Old Town guys, so you guys kind of like to get after each other. But I mean, if you do remember what I'm talking about, and I don't
know what preference the whole thing, but like my pregame was like I always do squats before the game in the morning, and then I don't know if we were losing or whatever, but for some reason I decided to do naked squats for some reason. I was like, wow, I'll cheer the guys up here. I'll do naked squats, and it'll be pretty funny. And so I run by the you have to run through the whole locker room naked and put the bar on and put some squats, and then unbeknownst to me, Holt sneaks up behind me with a Mountain Dew can, and sure enough, so I always go down to a box, and then Holt puts a Mountain Dew thing right into my box, and sure, right in my taint area, and I sit down on his Mountain Dew. I'm like, ah!
And this is a bar with a lot of weight on it too, coming down on this can.
I don't know how much I had on it, but I usually sit down pretty hard in the box, and it's like, oh my God.
And you just beelined out of there after that.
I don't know if I beeline because of embarrassment or beeline. I should have been embarrassed already because I was naked doing squats, but now also I put a Mountain Dew can in my taint, and now I'm probably more embarrassed.
It was a Mountain Dew tattoo after that.
Mountain Dew tattoo, yeah. Well, safe to say I never did that again. So
you learned your lesson.
Oh my
I learned
goodness.
my lesson, yeah.
It was so funny.
Those are the stories. I mean, we did so much with like Greg and Benny back there, and Curdy and those guys. Like those are the most fun times you have back there, like moments like that, and Nemo, and just the crap that goes on back there in the dressing room stuff. It's just
Yeah.
unbelievable.
Well, that's the thing is like, you don't realize how much time we spend together, right? Like you come to the rink, you change, you put your undergear on, and then you go straight to the trainer's room to go and
Yeah,
start to shoot the shit with those
yeah,
guys and just have a
yeah.
good time. And the things that you, things that we come
Oh,
up with,
oh,
like Smitty had mentioned the whiteboards and stuff that
oh
we can't
yeah.
really get into all those, but like having
Well, they were
you,
like, we we did so many whiteboards with so many people. Why this guy is not playing well?
yeah, it was,
Or why is so, or with the Tipper Award, we had the Tipper Award, or taking a personal award. You always had that award.
yes. So, okay. So Whyno, I'll explain that. So we had, I don't remember exactly. I think it started with Dave Steckel and it was
Oh
like,
yeah, yeah, yeah.
and so we would someone would always yell on the ice, like when he was skating, like bend your knees, please. Like, cause he was one of those like kind of upright skaters and stuff. And he wouldn't always,
Matt Bradley would always yell that.
yeah, exactly. Matt Brad's, yeah. And so he would like, he would get really angry at a lot of these things. And so we kept saying like, don't take it personal. Like we're just having fun. And that turned into,
Oh man,
to a tip.
yeah.
And so we would like, so someone would be starting to take something really personal. And then sure enough, like Carly or someone would walk up behind it with like whoever had the award at
Yeah,
the time would walk up behind with like pretending to hold something, or you'd like be holding like a trophy and you'd go
there
up
was those
beside
stick
them.
figures. We made it as stick figures, and it was like a tip thing. It was like
Yeah.
little stick figures. Too.
Yeah. And then you would like bring it to that person. Like, I'd like to present you with the award. But like, it was so funny because like Stex took a lot of abuse like that. And Fairzy, like, for example, those like in like hotel rooms where they have like, or like hotel meeting rooms, they have like those big easels with a whiteboard on it.
Yep.
Like someone would go
Oh
up there,
man, yeah.
someone would go up there and put like a paper plate on the top of it, and they would just write on the whiteboard like Dave Steckel holding his room key, because it would just be two tiny stick legs on the bottom with a head with a big white room key. And then sure, we'd all be trying to get someone to tip and take it personal so we could hand out an award. But it was just it's one of those things where like the stories are endless and the dumb stuff that we did, but that's kind of what made the rink fun.
What was I maybe get off topic here, but the hotel room, we used to there in Buffalo. We took all the rookies' furniture out of the room in Buffalo. we got him out of the room. We got the key, and then the guys like just totally dismantled the room with furniture, and they made it. But they put because the Buffalo, there's so much waste of space in that Buffalo. I think we stayed at like the Hampton Inn or something there, and there's so much waste of space in the hallway, so we created their room in the hallway. We took the. It was so stupid, but like we took like the bed out, the nightstands. The rookies had to put it all back. That was the funny part. Those are the little things. Those are the stupid stuff that we did. It was pretty funny. But
one of the other things I thought was so funny is that like there's one thing that we could always count on, is that you would be first, if not second guy at the rink with a venti coffee and occasionally a chocolate bar or donut in your hand. And I remember I was always laughing because you always said that, well, Sarah doesn't buy this stuff at home, so I never have any chocolate or candy at home. So this is what I got to have for breakfast. And it was like, you're just running on like stimulants in the morning, just caffeine and sugar.
It was probably my fifth coffee today. I was like running around. People are always, what's wrong with you? It's 8 o'clock in the morning. You're running around like an idiot. I used to love bringing donuts to the trainers too. That was my thing. I used to love buying Timmy's or something for trainers. And
They tell that story.
It. Yeah. Yeah. It was like, I used to bring donuts for the guys, and it was like, I don't know, win or lose, you always have to. I was trying to always try to be the guy who was always. I think coaches maybe looked at me like I was a dummy too, because we come in, maybe it was a 5-game losing streak, but I always tried to bring some energy to the rink and try to bring some laughter and still like have some fun with it. And the game's still got to be fun for you in order to play well. And I think coaches maybe didn't look too kindly on that sometimes, but I mean, it is what you try to create a positive atmosphere to come to. Even when you're losing, you got to have some fun and get out of it somehow. And I mean, treat the game seriously and have practice hard and play games hard. But when it's time, I tried to keep the mood light and that kind of stuff. So that was one of those things. But maybe it was just running on caffeine. Or all day maybe.
Well, so Chimera was also our, and it was the first that I had really ever seen this, obviously coming from junior, but he was our beer guy. And so what that means for everybody is like you usually dedicate one person, or they take it upon themselves to, when you get to the away rink for the game, is you give the visiting room trainer some money, and he goes out and gets you a beer. They already have them kind of stocked at the rink, right? So Chimmer, every single game, make sure he's got whatever it was, 40, $50, 80, I don't know what you paid the guy, but there'd always be a case or two cases depending on how far the ride was to the airport. And I always thought that was, it was just amazing. Like, just always looking out for the guys like that.
Well, I remember when we first started, the Jason Smith and Steve Stais, those guys were having like I was young back then, but they're having beers back in there in the and they was talking about the game and shooting the shit, and whether they won or lost, they still had a beer back there, still talked about the game. I always thought that was awesome. I mean, that was kind of an old school way of doing things. I think now it's more protein shakes and blenders are going off in a room.
Games changed.
Yeah, I know. I mean, those yeah, games changed.
That was his favorite line. Whyno, that was his favorite line. Every time someone would come in, like a young guy would be going to get a new stick, and Chimmer would come by, games changed. Like, bullshit.
But those dressing room attendants, they did such good work, and I mean, those guys are such awesome guys that treated. I remember that how relieved they were, how grateful they were. They had them $100 just to put beers in the back of the bus, and they were like, "Geez, Chimmer, that's awesome." And it all came from a fine fund, so we always, it wasn't directly out of my pocket, but I always try to treat those assistant the training guys away in the way rinks. They handle the gear, they put up the gear, they're working long hours, they're doing laundry for you. Those are some of the things that you get treated so good in the NHL. You don't touch a thing. The tape's there, the gum's there, your sticks are all laid out nice. I mean, you don't touch a thing. And these guys are all like Smitty, Benny, Brock, and Woody, all these guys. They do such a good, awesome job. And Curdy helps. So when those guys are doing Nemo, all these guys help out. And well, maybe not so much Nemo. He didn't do anything.
He would just bag skate you guys.
Yeah, he just bag skate us. But those guys were the unsung heroes. And Karl could attest to this. Those guys did so much work for you guys. Like when we got off, we got off to on the bus, go to the hotel. They were going to the rink, unpack our stinky gear. I mean, they didn't get in until like 2:30, 3 o'clock. So every time you could take those guys out for dinner or treat them to a beer or treat them to a donuts or something bright in their day, I think they do so much work. And games changed. Yeah, that was funny. That was funny. Yeah, every time. I remember back when I was younger, I had to break a stick to get a new one in Edmonton. I had to literally break one so before I get a new one from Staffy. So it was pretty funny.
Not anymore.
Not anymore. Yeah, it is.
Another thing about the games change is, like, I don't think guys do drink beer after games so much anymore. And I think the thing that it used to be back in the day is writers could get beers with players and it wouldn't be that big of a deal. And we after and as writers, we go out after the game and have beers and talk about the game. And there's that disconnect now that it feels like players are not the same as us, if that makes any sense. Like, you guys are the old school kind of players that I think I would appreciate, because I'm going out to the bar after the game. You guys are having beers on the way to the airport. And now it just feels like players are protein shakes and wine over beer. And it's gotten more professional, but it's also gotten a little less fun.
Yeah, I think it's a huge business, right? I think people treat it as that too. The money's off. The money's great. I think I remember towards the end of my career, I had to go back in the back and have beers with the trainers because no one else would have beers, so they have beers. I always like to. I'm not an alcoholic, but I always just like to have a beer at the end. And like you said, we in Edmonton used to have beers with the media in the room after. Like, guys, you have in your stall, you'd have beer, and you ask the media guy, "Hey, want a beer?" She's sure, I'll have a beer. So it's like, I think there's like you said, there's that little disconnect between media and players now that doesn't help the relationship building with those guys. And I think me and you, I know I've got into it before too. I think, but it's all we've talked about it. Or you and the next day you talk about it. It's fine. The next day, I think it's like anything. In marriage, sometimes you disagree with stuff, but you always find common ground somewhere. I think that's for sure a disconnect with a lot of things. And
you're going to be around each other every day too. Like you could have a disagreement and then go your separate ways and be back the next day, and it's fine. And it's also not on social media. Yes,
exactly. And it's not. Yeah, it's not so when people are like tweeting it or something. So that's which maybe a little thing becomes a huge thing, which it shouldn't be. So, and like you said, that maybe that fun aspect, I think it's still there in the game, but that kind of camaraderie and that kind of stuff. Like me and Aldi, like we used to before we used to drop our bags
I
like
love
five
this.
minutes, 5 minutes into like we get to a place and you find a little beer spot, and we had our Philly spot, we had our Columbus spot, we had, you go to Detroit, a Detroit spot, and you always just go for a couple beers when you land and kind of relax with the guys. And depending on where we were, if people got family in town, but usually you had like 7, 8, 9, 10 guys who come and have a beer and just kind of relax and talk about crap and talk about how your life is or hockey and it was just a way to that team building stuff, which is awesome. I think it wasn't necessarily the beers, it was just the getting together and having that talk and just having that closeness and just generally being friends with each other. I think that was a big thing.
Well, guys are holed up in their rooms so much now, right? So it's like,
Well, now it's yeah.
especially now, but like instead of getting to the hotel at whatever it is, 3:30, and then you lay in bed until 5:45, and then you roll out for dinner for an hour and a half, and then just back to your room. To me, it's like, hey, we're here to kind of like to enjoy the city too, like see these cities that you never thought you'd have an opportunity to go to some of these places. B, you got a group of awesome people that you can go and hang out with. Like how many people, don't have that big of a friend circle, and we're lucky we've got 19 other guys or however many other guys on your team that you can go and hang out with all the time. And then just get out of your room, hang out for we were there for like an hour and a half, 2 hours before dinner, grab dinner, and then we're back. It was just one of those little moments that was so much fun. And I'm always trying to learn from Chimmer about pale ales. He'd always call him his first guy to ever have a pale ale.
Carly would love pale ale.
Pale ale. Yeah. You want to go grab a couple pale ales, what I always say. So good.
Yeah. But that was the stuff that that was the fun stuff that you miss, and that I think you miss to go to those cities and that kind of stuff. But that's the stuff you wish you had back.
We've got golfing questions, Karl, for
yes,
Jason.
I'll get to the golfing
this
ones
can't
because
be good.
I'll get to those because those are some of my funnest times with you, Chimmer. But I wanted to ask you about, I don't know who you would say you were closest with in hockey, but definitely, in my opinion, from what I saw, one of the best relationships you had was with Joel Ward, and it was maybe a little unlikely because of your energy versus his energy, but it seemed to be a match made in paradise. And you guys sat beside each other on the plane, I think, too, and and it was just comedic all the time. But what do you got to say about Wardo and how that happened?
He's just a quality human being. He's one of those guys you kind of gravitate. I think anybody gravitates towards him. I think you'd feel the same. Like you're just one of those guys just one of the guys you keep in touch with. For a lot of the relationships you kind of go by the wayside when you play hockey. So you meet so many people, but Orioles are one of those guys, and like yourself, we keep in contact. And wow, you can't say enough about, like you said, talk about polar opposites. You played together, good line mate, good person, good heart. Just a all around good human being. And remember when he scored an overtime goal in Boston, and remember him getting some racist like tweets and racist. And I never been like heartbroken, but I think that was the first time I've been heartbroken for somebody to ruin in such a moment. And I almost get emotional now talking about, because like he just like deserved such a good moment. And for a person at the end of the other tweet knew what kind of heart this guy had, and what kind of, not a bad bone in his body, would never say a bad thing about anybody, and just love life, and late always, but that's fine. He's okay. not a morning guy like me, but he was the best. I mean, he was just talk about a person that you try to emulate your life after, and try to look up to as a person. He's one of the people you look up to as a person.
So two things on that. One, about Wardle always being late. He told me when he came here, he would warn every new coach that he had, he's like, hey, just so you know, like I'm good for at least 2-3 sleep-ins, every year. So just a heads up, I'm going to be late a couple times. And I always thought that was so funny. And that they even considered getting him the like bed shaking alarm.
Yeah, the bed shaker. Yeah. Remember, like just shake. And you remember what times hey, wake me up in the morning. Make sure you call me like on the next morning. Like if we get it later, or have like a late hotel, like we get there like at 2 a.m. from a flight or something. He always like, make sure you get me up in the morning. So you have to call him, make sure he's up, get him going in the morning. But
Yeah.
I'm sure with kids now, he's better now. But
Yeah.
he's,
He's got to be, and he's
he's
coaching
got
too,
it.
so
He's
he can't
coaching
be
now,
late.
so he probably fall. I bet you it'd be funny to see him in videos. He probably be falling asleep during the videos when he's coaching for sure. This video meeting.
He's nodding off in the back row. Come on, coach. Well, it's your turn. No.
Yeah.
So one other thing, Whyno, I don't remember. I don't know if you were at this game or if you remember this, but I think it's go. Did you just crack your neck?
Yeah.
Holy, that's aggressive. Oh, crazy guy. So this just goes to show, I think, what kind of guy you are, Chimera, but also the relationship that you had with Whyno. We were in Long Island at Nassau Coliseum during warm-up.
Oh
And
yeah.
that place was always bad for
Yeah.
warm-up. Like the one time we didn't even have a net for half the warm-up. I remember Bill Guerin
Yeah.
comes over, he's like, I'm sorry guys, I don't know what's going on here.
I know.
But like, do you remember what I'm getting at? Like, you can go ahead and tell it, because that was like,
Yeah.
I felt so good about what you did.
Another warm. There was a warm up, and I played in New York, and those fans were pretty passionate, but this kind of went overboard. And I think it was the same story we talked about. The guy made a basketball gesture to Whyno in warm up, and I just lost it. I went into the stands and went in there and warm up. Like I was giving it to the guy, and I was like, "Get this guy kicked out." I've never been so irate in a warm up before, and I never, because I was like, hey, he just didn't do that. Like the guy was the fan, and we were doing, I think it was like just the regular 2-on-1s, and we were down to a corner, and sure as shit he did it again, and I was like, that's it. I went in the Whyno was like, don't worry about it. It happens all the time. That's not something that I went in the stand. I think it was in the breezeway there.
Yeah, you were legit in the first row, like, because I stand in that corner, and then all of a sudden you came flying in front of me and ran off the ice, and I'm like, what's going on here? And you're in the stands, like, didn't care about your skates, like you're stepping all over the bleachers. I'm like,
I think it was playoffs, so your emotions are already heightened already, so you're already ready to go. You're already ramped up. Your energy's ready to go. And I think the way that building was, it was such a loud building, so you're already ready. And then coming through the gauntlet when you walk from the hotel to the
was a
ring,
gauntlet.
It was, but for that to happen, I was just like, again, like another moment, like if the guy only knew like what, like it's the color of the guy's skin. Are you crazy? Like are you crazy? Like what? Like there's no regards for the human being side of it. There's no regards for what he has as a person. Like, I mean, what was your family member who's doing that to somebody? Like, it was just so ridiculous. So I don't know. I don't even know how to have words for it.
Yeah, it was
like,
upsetting.
It was appalling. It was just like one of those moments you're just like, what are you? I was pissed.
Yes, you were pissed.
Yeah, I was one of the,
But you're not one of the guys that has like a really bad temper or anything, unless you're on the golf course, which is where I was getting. But you
think I'd be a PGA guy? How much my expectations on a golf course?
Well, you are a really good player though, so
yeah,
like,
not that good. Come on.
No,
man.
not that good, but I can understand it. But okay, so I got to tell this story first, because you may not remember it, but I was dying laughing when it happened. So we were playing at this course. I can't remember which course it was. I think it was in DC, and there was caddies involved, and it was a par 3 with water. We had to hit over water. And do you remember what I'm talking about?
Yeah, go ahead.
Yeah. If okay, I'll go ahead. And so the caddy said to him, he's like, yeah, it's 160 to clear the water. And so Chimera, like, because like I said, he's a good golfer, he's dialed into his clubs, he pulls out whatever it was, a 9-iron or something like that. And you go and take this shot, and it was money. Like this was going 5 feet for sure. And next thing you know, just right in the water, just dunked it. And you turned back and looked at this guy, and you went red, like you were a bull. And you went over there, and I could hear you mumbling already. You went over to your bag, picked up another club, because I think you probably eyeballed it and saw what you thought it was. But of course, he's the caddy at the course, he knows. And you went over there and you hit your next shot, and sure enough, it was probably within 10 feet. And we're just yelling like 100, 160, 100, and you spun around and you whipped this club easily 100 yards after that. And the caddy was just like, holy crap, what did I just do? Piss this guy off.
Yeah, what a loser. What a psycho.
But it was so funny though.
Man, what a I think I
Just ruin your
apologized
day.
to him. I think I apologized to him like a hole later. I was like, just like one of those moments you just like you just get caught. I don't know. That's one of those moments you think you're better than you are. Come on, like you know exactly how hard you hit it, so you hit the water. So yeah, typical like look in a mirror kind of moment. You just
Yeah.
look in a mirror, Chimera, go look
Yeah.
like man, like that
So
was like yeah.
tell us about your one of your favorite golf/hockey experiences that we had all together at one
Oh
time.
man, I think you agree that this one. Becky said you want to go golfing on the trip, and I said sure. I mean, yeah, I'll go golf. So bring your shoes, and I don't think we even knew about it. I think you were just like right. Did we even know about it? Like,
Not
you
not
tell us
we knew that
like
something was
briefly?
happening.
We knew
Yeah.
something was happening, but like he goes, okay, show up in the morning, and we're going golfing. So I go, we had I think we had played the night before in LA, I believe, and then we had a day off, and then just a practice day, and then game. So it was one of those moments you're like, okay, this is a green light moment to do whatever you want, and coaches gave us one of those moments where you go ahead and have some fun. So show up down in the lobby, and two cars pick us up, and we go to the airport. Like, what the hell? Like, and then hop on this private plane, and we head out, and it's like probably a close flight, like maybe 45 minutes, then land at a place called Pebble Beach, and play
What did we hop
play.
into? What did he have set up for us when we got off the plane to get there? We were in like a
Oh,
stretch
well, yeah,
excursion.
stretch level when we get there. Like filled with, I know what I should say it, but it's filled with booze, filled with like beers and like all the stuff you want. And I think he even had pale ales in there. It was
Pal L's in there for sure, just for you.
And I was like, and we head out to Pebble Beach and play around and hang out after, have some beers, and head back that night. And I mean, we talk about holy crap moments. I mean, I think me, you, Niski, and Carly were in the group, I
Yeah.
believe, right? I think I still have that picture framed. And it was like, I think I probably got mad at the course for sure. But but I think it was one of the moments we kept on looking at each other like, is this really happening? Like, was this like, are we here right now? Or it's middle season, you're playing golf, and probably one of the most beautiful places on earth. And it was just a gorgeous day, albeit like hardly any wind. Like it was just, I mean, it was talk about your best day in hockey and golf combined. It was that I still tell that story about Backy, and one of those moments that he never said anything about it, and never. But that's the kind of story Backy guy, the story kind of guy Backy is too. Like he's one of those guys. You go for dinner, he paid for dinner. You do the stuff. He played for the plane. Like we paid for our golf, but he played for the plane, played for beers, all stuff, and like didn't ask for anything. Which was unbelievable. I think you talk about clinger-ongers. We were just clinging on for hanging on by our toes. I think all we were just
Yeah.
glad to get invited. We were just like, holy smokes! And probably the other guys didn't golf. Probably that's why they didn't get involved. So we were the only ones who golf. So we got invited, it was just a talk about memories for a lifetime. Those are the ones you remember for a lifetime, and just one of those moments you kind of pinch me still when you look at the picture, and it was pretty cool.
Oh yeah, it was a blast, that's for sure.
Yeah. Yeah.
All right, Whyno, should we
Yes, of course, with Karl's stupid questions.
All right, Chimmer. So
Okay.
so there 6 quick questions. I'm going to give you a total at the end, and the total points you get all depends on how good, creative, but truthful your answers are. So give us your best shot.
Yeah.
Okay.
One word answer, or just
No, you can expand.
It better
You
be
can
more
do
than
whatever
one.
you want. Yeah.
Okay.
You're not going to get a lot of
Yes.
points for one-word answers.
Yeah.
Okay.
The more words, the more points.
Oh boy.
No, I'm just kidding. Okay. What was your favorite road restaurant? And if you remember what you ordered. I have something in mind that I remember you loved to order at one place. It doesn't have to be your answer, but do you remember a restaurant you in particular that you liked, and what was your go-to like night before game meal?
We always just go to the knockoff of the knockoff of the cheesecake cafe.
This is what
I
I'm
always get the
thinking.
barbecue salmon. Barbecue salmon and
Cedar
remember
plank
used to-
salmon, broccoli,
cedar plank salmon and a pale ale. That was
Grand Lux.
Grand Lux Cascade, Florida. Yeah, that was and a pale ale for dinner. That was probably the best. And little mashed potatoes on the side of it, and it was like, I don't know why, it always seems so. It had a nice barbecue glaze on top of it, and that was always one of my favorite meals for sure.
Anything to go? Would you take anything home to go?
I can't divulge any, but probably a cheesecake or two, maybe.
I figured that's what it was. It was so funny. It was just any place we knew a Grand Lux was. Chim, you want to guess you're playing salmon and cheesecake?
Yes.
I'm in.
Oh yeah.
Yes, I do.
100%.
That's so funny. Okay, so obviously lots of great things about hockey, lots of things that were frustrating. Can you give us on a little bit more serious note what your favorite thing about playing was and your least favorite thing about playing?
Probably healthy scratch would be the worst thing about playing, and just the best thing would be scoring a goal at Madison Square Garden, double overtime, and what against the New York Rangers. That was probably one of my most favorite moments because it's one of those moments where you just like, there's only a couple of people cheering because there's only so many Washington Capitals fans, and it was just the best moment of my life. And scoring a road goal or scoring a goal anytime, I think that was just playoffs, especially in playoffs, double overtime that was a pretty cool moment. I have the picture and kind of we just with tapping it in. It was one of those a crappy goal, but it was just just one of those moments. You're just like kind of a awesome moment.
They don't ask how, and
exactly.
I still remember that game because that was when Madison Square Garden was doing the renovations. So they had us like behind the far net, so the other side where you scored from. And I remember like to go to the bathroom, you have to walk through the crowd and stand in the line and all that. My deadline had passed, so I was like, I don't care how long this game goes now. It's going on the web. It's not getting in the paper. I don't care. And then all of a sudden you score, and we have to frantically like run through these pissed off Rangers fans to get to the locker room to talk to you. And it's one of those nights. Unfortunately, the Gabrick 3 overtime goal at home, I remember, but this one I remember actually seeing you score in person at Madison Square Garden, which is awesome.
That was anytime scoring, but that was a pretty special moment for sure.
Oh yeah.
Mm-hmm. Okay. This is actually, I think, a really good question for you. Okay. So would you have rather played 5 years in the league and won a cup, or the career that you ended up having 18 years, over 1,000 games and all that?
Whew. You know what? I don't think I would take anything back. I mean, you look at a cup, not winning a cup is a very disappointing thing. I think I used to use the word regret, but I don't think it's just a kind of a disappointment now. I think I'm pretty proud of my career, and I don't think I would have it any other way. I think you always look back, you wish you won a cup, but I wouldn't give those years after the 5 years back for sure.
Mm-hmm.
I was telling those kids that when I coach those kids, I give anything back to be where you are right now. I take all those games back to get back right, do it all again for sure.
Yeah.
But I wouldn't give it all up because hockey's given me so much. Like I said, just a life I can live. And 5 years, who knows? Maybe not played again if I gave those years up to win a cup. So I think I wouldn't trade those years after that for sure.
Yeah, no, that's a good answer.
And do you have an interest in getting back into hockey? Get back into the NHL kind of pro hockey ranks in any way?
You know what? I do and I don't. I think if the right opportunity came, I think I would. I think I'd be good at kind of a player development kind of thing, like helping kids just understand what it takes and just kind of. Yeah, I was kind of an emotional roller coaster at times, and I think once I had a family, I was a little better at tapering those emotions, and I think it'd be good to tell those kids, because I think even as a young kid, like you see they have a bad shift, and it's like it's the end of the world. You're like, well, keep on going. You got to keep plugging away. So I think it's yeah, I do. I think I do later in life. I think, but now I'm just enjoying. I miss so much as a kid when I was younger. I think it's just I walk my kids to school today, and I think it's just a great thing that I could be able to do that. And like I said, hockey's given me that privilege to do that. And I wouldn't trade that for anything too.
Mm-hmm. No, good call. Okay. I don't know if you'll be able to out anybody on this one, but I had to throw it at you anyways. Who would you say of all the players you've played with would be the worst all-around athlete? Great hockey player, obviously, but a not a great athlete.
You've never asked this question before, I don't think.
No, wow. There's only so many people that may give me an answer, and so that maybe Chimera you would, but you can also pass because I know it's a bit of a tough one to say about someone. But I can think, like I played soccer before the game, so I know that some guys are not all that coordinated when it came to soccer and basketball and stuff. So it's tough, but there's guys out there you'd be surprised. Like some guys are just good at hockey, and
like
they can't do the latter.
I don't know. Well, I don't know if Wardle's such a great athlete. Like, he's a good hockey player, but I don't know if he's such a good athlete. He played hockey, but I don't know other skills. Could he throw a football or catch a ball? I don't know.
I've never seen him expend much energy other than
Yes, I don't like he played
hockey.
hockey, but I don't know if he would be a good runner or a good soccer player. But I could say that because he's my good friend. So
We gotta have Ward. We gotta have Wardo on the show so he can defend himself.
Yes,
yeah, no kidding. Yeah, for
defend.
sure. Yeah. I don't know. Yeah, like there's I don't know. Like Backy's a really good hockey player, but I don't know if he's a good athlete. He's
Great
he's
soccer
actually no,
player.
he's a
Great
good soccer
great
player.
actor.
He's a great golfer. So he's a good athlete. But yeah, I don't know. That's a tough question, Carl. It's
Think
because I
about it.
consider yeah.
You can text me an answer later once you think about it.
Yeah. I'll figure it out.
And I could up your points if necessary.
Yeah, thank you. Yeah.
No problem. Okay, so now let's go with now versus playing. What's your late night snack or guilty pleasure, or both?
Oh, I used to like my guilty, because my wife's a pretty healthy cook, so I used to sneak out of a place called Bulk Barn here and go get some bulk candy.
Keep it in the center console.
Yeah, exactly. Put it in my car or put it in the garage or hide it. So one, the kids can't steal it, and B, the wife can't see it. So yeah, so that's my guilty thing. Yeah. And my guilty thing, I do like the odd pale ale, so that's a guilty pleasure too that I do indulge in sometimes.
So good.
Can I add an extra question here? What's your favorite beer?
Yeah. Oh, well, I got my buddy's brewery that I like to support, my Odd Man Rush Brewing in Alaska. He sent me some stuff. He's got some pretty good stuff, but it's not distributed around but there's so many good craft breweries, and I had some there's a lot of good dogfish in Delaware there, in Washington, and then there's all kinds of local ones in Alexandria there that I had it when I was there, and so many cool little breweries that I think it's become like almost an art. Like, a lot of these people take really pride in the best ones are people that don't even distribute it. They kind of go, you can just buy it at their breweries, and think there'd be so many good ones up here. There's a couple ones that are really good, and I couldn't say one that's of really favorite. So
I asked this question because I have the Untapped app where I can track what beers I'm drinking. Since 2016, I've had 4,131 different beers in that time.
Oh,
I'm a beer
yeah.
nerd. Like, I love trying this stuff. And
Yeah.
so I was looking to see if I'd had any of the Odd Man Rush stuff, because in Vegas, there's a lot of Alaskan breweries you can get to that practice rink in Vegas. So I was sitting there one day after a practice and just having like a flight or like tasters of these beers, because I like trying all that stuff.
Yeah, there's and as you know, there's so many good breweries out there. Colorado has tons of breweries. Portland, Oregon has tons of breweries that are good, and so it'd be hard pressed to name just one favorite beer.
All right, good points for that one. I love Bulk Barn candy. Okay, last one. It's kind of a two-parter, because if you don't have an answer for the first one, I got a backup for you. Do you have a celebrity crush? And if you don't, can you let us know, are you a jeans or leather pants person?
Oh, Faith Hill. Faith Hill's always been my celebrity crush. Yeah, she's always been, and she was always, it's funny, you always have, you talk with your wife, you always have one freebie, and so it was always one freebie in life. And so Faith Hill, and funny enough, I think in Columbus, Ohio, they started their Tim and Faith, because Columbus, we were out of the playoffs early at that one time. So they started and they had their pre-rehearsal there, and I got to meet her, and I was like, holy smokes, this might happen for me. I might get my one freebie. We're really doing this, but it didn't happen. So, but I mean, we had beers with Tim McGraw in the room, and Faith Hill had a private concert just for like 5 guys that were hanging around. It was pretty cool. It was pretty.
Did you
cool
tell
moment.
Tim that Faith was your hall pass?
No, I didn't get into it. I didn't want to make him feel bad, and
you make him feel good, but
yeah. I know it was. I didn't want to make it awkward between Tim and me, so we were still on speed dial. Me and him, so I don't want to put them to it.
Side note: are you watching that new show with both of them in it, 1883? You
I haven't
started?
seen it. I watched the other Yellowstone. I
Yeah.
gotta see this one now. I gotta get it. Is it pretty good?
Yeah, so far it's pretty good.
Yeah.
Like if you like
Yeah.
like kind of Western, like
Oh
old
yeah,
time,
I love that.
yeah.
Yeah.
I think you'd
Yeah.
like a couple
Yeah.
gunslingers in there. It's a good
Yeah.
show. And I just got so the reason why I asked the jeans and leather pants Whyno is it's so funny.
Oh, it's
So-
funny. I think we probably Mackenzie Schultz, or,
yes,
right? I think it was
exactly.
safe. Always used to, come on, wear your pants, wear your leather pants.
Yeah. So one day I don't know if it was a game or what, but Jeff Schultz's wife Mackenzie was wearing leather pants and like like you
I think
said,
I embarrassed her so much when I went in the room too. I was
yeah.
like,
Yeah. It was like the first time that we had seen someone wear leather pants. Like it was like a trend for a while there when it started.
babies be tight.
Yeah. And then every time it was a game, like he would come flying in the family lounge
Yeah.
after, like, Mackenzie, what do you got on? You got leather pants today? It was so funny.
Yeah.
But it was just like you
yeah.
could just joke around with everyone. That was the best part about it, is no one really tipped too hard unless it was Stex.
Yeah, no, yeah, that was fun. That was like, the funniest part is like the wife's lounge was awesome too. You try to make jokes with the girls too. So that was and they're such an integral part of what we do because they do everything for us. So I mean,
Yeah.
that was funny. That was yeah. I was always looking for the leather pants for Mackenzie for sure. I was disappointed when you didn't wear them either.
Yes. So funny. Okay. All right. Let me quickly add up all this here.
I think
Grand
it did
Lux.
pretty good.
You did. You nailed the Grand Lux question at the beginning. It's what I was hoping.
Yeah.
Scoring at MSG, yes. Healthy scratch, I agree as well. It was the perfect answer for the cup question. Big cheese, but you might get back to us. Bulk barn, I'm with
Yeah.
you. Leather pants, nailed it. Faith Hill, perfect. Okay, so that would mean you are at your number 25, 125 points for Jason Chimera there. That puts you in second place overall, silver
What?
medal.
Who beat me?
Yeah, we actually have one person who's at 274 points, Greg Wachinski. You go back and listen to this one. His answers were dynamite. But I mean,
Well, I could have got a lot more emotional too about stuff, and then I could have like really got into it instead if you wanted to.
we're gonna put an asterisk.
I could have
beside his
cried.
name. I was
I could've
driving during
cried.
that episode, so I was.
Yeah,
Yeah.
your math was off on
Hilarious.
that one, I think.
Yeah, your math comes. That's a big discrepancy.
Yeah, it was a big day, but hey, there's no rhyme or reason to these points. So sometimes I'm weird about it.
Just like me trying to blame. I'm blaming the caddy now. It's the same thing. Like look at yourself in the mirror. Like you didn't do
Yes.
as good as that guy.
Exactly. Oh, thanks, Jim. Thanks for doing that.
This is our game
Yeah.
where it's all made up and the points don't matter.
Yes, I
Essentially.
like it. I like it. Yeah.
And Chimmer, you kind of look like Colin Montgomery from that show. You ever watch that? Whose line is it anyway?
The comedian guy.
Yeah, Colin Montgomery. That's you. Canadian too. It's perfect.
Same hair.
I used to always chirp Chimmer. I always said you should come to Halloween as Mr. Clean. So I thought he was he's jacked like
Fitting image.
same haircut.
I was the worst Halloween person. Like I hated it. I hate dressing up, and it was funny. I never thought of a good costume. Always come in. I'm like, oh, this is lame.
We had a good one. We were Cards Against Humanity one year.
Yeah, that was a
Us
fun one.
four. Yeah, it was
that was
pretty
a
funny.
fun one. Yeah,
Yeah, we had a
that was
couple
a fun
good
one.
ones.
yeah.
All right.
Yeah.
Thanks, Jim.
All right.
Jason,
Thanks,
thank you very
guys.
much for joining us. Everyone, thanks for listening to another episode of All's Caps. I'll be in Beijing for the next few weeks. You'll still be hearing from us. I don't know what time or what day, but it'll be whatever Olympic tournament. Unfortunately, without Eric Fair. Unfortunately for Team Canada, but some ex-Capitals favorites. Daniel
Why
Winnick.
did he get nominated?
Yeah, that's Jason Demers talked about this on a call earlier today, and I almost asked him why he didn't. But Daniel Winnick made the team. Does that help us at all?
Well,
Yeah.
Chimmer, the reason I've been joking around with Chimmer or with Fairzy is because the coach of that team doesn't like me and he knows that I'm good buddies with Fairzy, which is why he didn't make the team.
Oh, the Chloe doesn't like him?
Yeah, that's
really?
the joke. That's the conspiracy theory right there.
Yeah. That's too bad. Yeah, he would have been a good addition.
You would have been great. Yeah, you would have been
Yeah.
awesome. But
Yeah, he's yeah.
I'm worried Chloe's not going to talk to me in Beijing now.
yeah, he probably won't.
Yeah.
Thanks to this. But no, Jason, thanks for joining us, everybody. Thanks for listening to another episode of All's Caps.